camera first to check the lighting and saw my hair, so I had to adjust, and now I am ready.
Well, I don't have that issue. It's funny, like I've been getting really used to the shaved head, right? And
Yeah.
then I was going through I was trying to remember like my top 5 fitness moments. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll just go through all my Facebook pictures and it will draw
Right? That's what I did.
memories. Um, and I saw this picture from Mardi Gras like 3 years ago where like I was in a white button-up shirt, suspenders and stuff. And I was in the French Quarter, like one of my Friday lunches, and my hair looked fucking awesome. And I'm like, ah.
But you go through that regularly. Like
I know.
you had the ninja bun for a minute and then you're like, I can't stand it anymore. And then your hair gotten long again and then you cut it again. But that's the beauty. It's just hair.
My hair is a microcosm for the rest of my life.
Right.
I like to switch it constantly.
What did Drew say? Something about your powers being gone now?
Yeah. He said, are you depressed because you cut your hair? Or did you cut your hair because you were depressed?
Right.
I'm like, suck it.
That was a good one.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to With That Being Said, a Roux Fitness podcast. We are doing Zoom today. We've mostly been doing audio, but we figured, hey, why not do video? So I am Bradley Schneller, owner of Roux Fitness. I have with us my co-host, my social media manager, and much more, Sarah Altabello.
That's me.
Sarah, how are you doing?
I'm good.
How's your level of tan on a scale of 1 to 10?
I kind of leveled off a little bit. I had my wonkiest week was last week. And so a little of that was I was dealing with shin splints really for the first time ever. And so that had me kind of frustrated to be out of my routine. So we've kind of leveled off. I think I'm holding for me, like a 7-8.
Pretty good.
I am one pasty human being. So
you should see Emily. She's pretty white. She hasn't really tanned or worked out outside.
Right.
I mean, a little bit, but when she does, it's like shade in the backyard. So
yeah, I think it's just been cumulative. So if I spend, usually what I've been doing is I'll do like a 10 or 12-minute meditation outside, and that gets me sun. And then if I run, 3 to 5 times a week, I'm out in the sun, and then my workout. So it's a buildup. One of my nutrition clients told me her tan is currently 6 weeks ahead of schedule, and I thought that was a really funny way of putting it.
It is funny. I think I'm at a 6 or a 7, but I'm kind of doing the I do some personal training in the park, and if the weather's nice, and by nice I mean hot, I'll just coach with my shirt off. Whether that's appropriate or not, I'm not sure. But hey, so that's like my chance to get a tan. So that's kind of what I'm doing.
In the summer anyway, if a coach has gone from working out into class, there's times where there's a cool down. You're allotted a 30-minute cool down.
Yeah, you need a cool down period.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes weird. And then you put your shirt back on.
That's exactly it. There gets to be a point when everyone has finished the warm up where you're like, maybe I should put a shirt back on.
Yeah. So today I wanted to do some positivity stuff. I don't know if that's how you say it, but share some success stories. And for you, it would be like
bright spots.
Yeah, bright spots. So basically yours and mine, not together, but separately, maybe they're together, I don't know, top 5 fitness moments. And it doesn't have to be at Roux, could be whenever. All right. Top 5 fitness moments, or as you said, bright spots. So yeah. Sarah, I'm gonna let you go, and it doesn't have to be in any particular order.
Yeah. One, I was trying to think of some dance related because that is how I got started on my fitness journey. And there are 3 pieces that I can think of, but the first one, I guess, would be the one that comes to mind. But I joined an ethnic dance company, I think in like 2015, called Kamenka. And ethnic dancing is social dancing from around the world. So, like when they have a successful corn harvest in Mexico, there's a specific dance that is done. Those kinds of things from around the world. And we did a salsa piece.
Hmm.
And I thought it was going to do me in. The whole suite was like 12 minutes long. And the first 6 minutes was really slow. And then the second half was just all out. I felt uncoordinated. I felt gassed. I spent essentially what happened is you had like 8 couples. The men were in a tight circle. The women were partnered around them. The guys just got to hang out in place and dance with the women. And the women would spin from partner to partner and do
Ooh.
bits with them. And I just remember, I couldn't tell you like how far it was into the rehearsal process, but the first time I finished it without stumbling or tripping or feeling like I was going to puke. But because of that company, I had a few experiences where, whether it was a certain move in a dance or just the amount of energy required just for the longest time would feel insurmountable.
Hmm.
And then it would be like a light went off. And I remember the first time feeling that was with that salsa piece.
I love it. So I kind of want to start similar to you did, which was like in my first one ever, fitness bright spot. And it's not that I maybe didn't have other fitness bright spots, but it was the first half marathon that I ran. And by first half marathon, I mean the only half marathon that I ran.
I was like, wait, you plan on doing another one?
Yeah, this was in, I believe it was 2008. It was the Rock and Roll Half Marathon in 2008. It was before I started CrossFit, um, and or right before. So it was the first thing that like I realistically ever trained for, because I had done the Crescent City Classic in the past or the Turkey Run, and you
Right.
can honestly, like, if you have enough will, get out and run it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's 6 miles. It's not hard. I mean, it was hard the first few times, like when I was out of shape, but you could still run it. And it sucks. But the half marathon, I actually like had a training plan for, went and did it. I was still a little pudgy, but this was like starting my transition uh,
Right.
towards like a good understanding of health and fitness, and this kind of spurred it. And so I ran the whole thing. I want to say it was just over, I want to say it was 2 hours and 14 minutes. So it was no Jonathan Burke time, but it was, I was happy with it back then, ran the whole thing. And I've told the story before, but someone asked me around mile marker number 9 or 10, like, isn't this the greatest ever? And I'm like, no, this was stupid. And then I went to breakfast after, and I was with my boss at the Sheridan, Brett Forshag and his wife, Mary Forshag, who has been a member at Roux, and Emily and I. And we were eating breakfast right after, because Mary and I ran the half marathon together. And we went and got some food, sat
Right.
back down. We're sitting there, and we were sitting there, just talking for about 45 minutes. And I went to get up, and my legs locked up, and I had like double Charlie horses in both legs. And it looked like I was seizing at the table. I was like, ah!
Oh, God. I can picture it too.
Like, people in the restaurant must have thought something crazy was happening, because like I fell back to the chair, and I'm like, ah! So that happened. And then we went home, and I just laid on the sofa for like 24 hours because my body
Yeah.
was in shock. And then I was chafed. So
Oh, no.
I was like, oh, well, I need to put some lotion. And I guess my brain wasn't working properly. And I went and put Ben Gay on
Oh,
my chafing. And then
good
not
Lord.
only did it like hit the chafing, but it also got my testicles. And then my testicles started burning. And then I put water on it, and that didn't help. And so my balls were on fire, and it was it was nuts. But it was still like top 5 bright spot, because it was something rather difficult that not a lot of people do. I mean, more people do it now than ever. But I ran the whole thing, set a training plan, and it was kind of like my start to this. So
Yeah, absolutely. And You did a little thank you, but you said you were happy then, but you should always be happy with that. I mean, you crushed it for where you were. It was a catalyst.
Yeah. No, I'm proud of it. I mean, the butts, like the pity party that I acted afterwards, and then the Ben Gang on the balls and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's something.
So what do you have next?
Next, it's similar to that. It was a running story. I was, for a while, I was running with my dad.
Hmm.
My dad, for those that don't know, he's got MS and he was an avid distance runner. He did 5 marathons, I believe, before his
Speaking of,
diagnosis.
I saw your dad on Harrison last week in his little tiny orange running shorts, and he was just booking it down Harrison. So
Yeah.
he's still going strong.
So most of my friends growing up either met my dad post run, like smelling like a wet dog in his short shorts and his singlet, or they would meet him in regular clothes and say, "Oh, he's the guy in the short shorts in the neighborhood all the time." So what's funny is they think the running's been a big factor in keeping him very physically active
I
later
love
on
it.
in his MS. But something that I wanted to do just to get a little fitter and spend time with him is we started running. I guess this was like 9, 10 years ago. And we did this one route. I mean, you can ask the man anywhere in the Lakeview, Lake Vista area. He can tell you how far away it is from our house if you want to map a run. And I think we were training for my first classic. We were out for a 4 or 5 mile run, and part of it took us up on the lake.
Hmm.
And the wind was brutal. I wanted to quit. He was trying to be encouraging, but at one point I was going so slowly that he was able to get ahead of me,
Run
turn
back.
around and run backwards to give me words of encouragement. And my head is down. I'm trying to be really aerodynamic and I'm just pissed at him. But making it through that run without stopping was a big mental win for me.
Hmm.
And clearly, I remember it very well.
I love it. I love it. My next moment would be at the gym. This is not in order now, so I'm jumping out of order a little bit.
Yeah.
And it wasn't me working out, but I was coaching a class. It was Metcons and Mimosas. You were there. All the girls were there. Emily was there. And I believe it was Metcons and Mimosas. I can't recall. Or it might have been just a regular class before Wads and Whiskey, but it was all girls because all the guys were coming to Wads and Whiskey. Anyway, I was demonstrating a movement, and Mariah Carey came on, and I just kind of stopped, and then we all started singing it, and then we started dancing, and it's actually in the video of the promo that we
Yeah.
have. And it was just like so awesome. So the rest, I kept pumping Mariah Carey songs after that, and we started back in the workout, and we were all singing, or they were singing, I was singing, they were working out, I was coaching at the top of our lungs. It was one of those like super energetic moments that was just like, this is really, really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just shows that it's different. It's a physical bright spot in a different way.
Right. Exactly. But I included in the fitness moment because it was in the gym. That's why.
Yeah. I mean, if we're talking, I remember thinking back to something, maybe a blog post I wrote about just favorite moments in the gym. And like half of them were centered around me, but the other half were around the group or other people's accomplishments,
Hmm.
which is cool.
Very cool. Next for you.
Um, One that everyone knows, or everyone at the gym that was around when it happened, was when I deadlifted 302 in the powerlifting competition. This one in particular, and all of them, kind of, they're not just physical wins. It's realizing I'd overcome something mentally, like a limiting factor or a
Hmm.
limiting belief I had put on myself. And this one was also really cool because, I mean, I'd done this, I planned to do this powerlifting competition just because there was no reason not to. Trained for a few months.
Yeah, you didn't really have to add much training to it.
I
You
mostly,
you practiced the lifts and then kind of like, what do I want to say? You tried to like hit a max leading up to it, but it was only like you only did like a couple extra days a week, huh?
yeah, I didn't really add any days. It was just making sure, and it wasn't even planned. Like on Monday I squat, on Tuesday I bench. I just said, okay, I just want to make sure every week I hit these 3 lifts,
Right.
not in the same day. And then I made sure to do just a couple accessory lifts, but I just totally was winging it.
Right.
Like I planned it for myself, didn't really do research, just thought that the consistency would pay off and just kind of wanted to trust myself. But it was, I did really well in the first 2 lifts in my squat and my bench. But I think everyone at Roux knew it was really all for me about the deadlift and that I was capable of lifting this weight, but I hadn't yet. And not only that, but I was still pretty gun shy because I think I was right around a year post hurting my back.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, that
um,
was pretty much the incredible thing about it is that you had hurt your back a year before that and didn't work out like any heavy weights for a couple of months.
yeah. So I spent the first few weeks literally doing nothing but walking or biking. And then everything was very slow introduction, very strict. Everything was from the hang at little to no weight. But then once I could start taking things from the floor and we'd figured out kind of what led me to that injury to begin with, I was stronger than ever. And since then, I really haven't had any issues.
Yeah. No, that's really cool.
Yeah. Shout out to both Jonathan and Jamie for their help, but also keeping all of it in perspective and keeping my head on straight because it could be really easy to jump the gun.
What was
Um,
what was the
start to
moment in your head when you realized it was coming up?
what?
The lift. Like what was like what point were you like, "Oh, yes."
I It was as soon as those weights came off the ground, I was like, I got this.
Right?
Um, and there's with some of my favorite things to watch from that day are specifically you and Omari. There's multiple videos because my family showed up. It was great. But there were times where neither one of you would be visible. And then suddenly I would see this when I would like walk up to the bar. And that was really encouraging. I don't know. It kind of, I remember getting to the bar and being like, you just have to pick it up.
Have you done an Olympic lifting competition?
I
You
have not.
have not. It's I haven't either, but I've been to both, and I'll say like they're very different, right?
Yeah,
Because
they're
Olympic
total.
lifting is technical. It's super technical, and the powerlifting, while there is some things you need to practice in terms of technique, it's like, did you do the work? Can you go out and just lift it? You know,
Yeah,
like, do you have what it takes to lift this weight? And I like it a lot because it is a super easy barrier of entry. You know, I feel
right.
like anyone who participates at Roux Fitness or is into CrossFit or this type of training can sign up for a powerlifting competition, do a couple of extra things like you talked about, and then do well in the competition.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, I will say though, there is like after you've done your first, you realize for some people, I mean, you did pretty well. I don't think you missed any lifts, but for some people, there is like some things you need to practice in terms of the squat and the bench press, like the deadlift, like it
Right.
just comes up no hitch, right? Um, but like in terms of holding the weight above the chest for the bench press or waiting for them to go, it's the pause.
Right. Like I only missed one lift and it was my last bench press and I just couldn't hit it.
Right.
It would have been a PR at the time, but there's also a lot of people struggled with, yeah, the patience of listening to the cues because when you're doing that at the gym, you finish your squat, you're walking that bar back in. Like you're not
Right.
waiting for someone to tell you it's okay.
Right. Yeah, I think it's neat. I think we should. I don't know if I necessarily want to host another one because it's a lot of work, But it would be cool in like a year to get a bunch of people to sign up again and go do it. So
Yeah,
it was
absolutely.
neat. And like I said, it doesn't take a whole lot of prep.
Right. Not at all.
All right. So my next one would be, let's see. It would be the open event 15.5. Were you here for that? I don't think you were here for that.
That I believe, no, I definitely
So
was.
so it was 27, 21, 15, 9. I think they repeated this. I can't remember, but it was calorie row
Oh yeah, I've heard this one.
and thrusters. That's it. 27, 21, 59 calorie row and thrusters. And this is when we were pretty competitive, and it was like Jonathan, Kevin, me. I think Shane was in there. I can't recall. Charlie Borello was in there, and Matt Aber was in there. And we're all in the last heat. And we were all just like, it was fun. Like, we talked a lot of shit, but it wasn't like heated or anything. But we did a big build up to the last heat. And in the open standings for the gym, like, we were all pretty close. And I forgot who it was, but somebody put Final Countdown on as we were setting up to get on the rower. And
You got hype. I know that.
yeah, it was hype. And then Kevin took his shirt off like right before we got on the rower, and he had like a Klokov jersey on. For those of you who don't know, Klokov was like a big Olympic lifter who set all kind of records, but he had this Klokov jersey on, and it was pretty nuts. Like, I think Charlie he finished and he went and threw up for like 30 minutes outside, like couldn't catch his breath. It was crazy. Like, I had a headache for an hour. It was nuts. But it was, what was really like cool about the entire moment was like the final countdown. We're all like, yeah, we're all gonna give 100% right now and see what happens. And everyone was watching, a lot of shit talking. It felt really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's that. For the record, I won.
Yeah, and have subsequently told horror stories about how you felt after that workout.
Oh yeah, that was the worst. We should do it again.
I guess here's the thing is we're kind of getting to the point where I could pick a lot of top moments to round it out, but definitely one that I am really proud of once I got farther removed from it was my very first CrossFit workout at Roux. Was 16.5. So I joined a year later. And
was that thrusters and burpees, right?
That was thrusters and burpees. I did it RX and I finished it.
Was that 2018, 16, 14, all the way down? Or something like that, right?
I think it's 21, yeah.
18, 15, 12, 9, 6, 3. Yeah.
And I went while a group was being judged. And I remember getting set up directly between you and Tommy, judging other people, and just getting side-eyed the whole time to see how I was doing. But I also remember coming, I think, the next day or 2 days later to watch like the Roux Saturday throwdown for that workout. And some people didn't finish or finish slower. And at the time, like when I finished it, I was just like, yeah, I'm signing up,
right?
But I'm dying inside. But being really proud of that after the fact. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Did it my chucks. That was it. And then I still don't know if I was coherent when I signed my membership, but
you probably weren't.
Right after that. I do not regret it.
My next moment is the powerlifting competition, but it was with Emily, like coaching her up, leading to it, and helping her like reach what I would say is the pinnacle of her fitness. Because Emily's never really like, she's not great at CrossFit. Like, she's like decent, but she's really good at lifting, specifically powerlifting. And so for her to like she didn't really want to do it, and I signed her up, and then I made her do it. And then I remember she had to cut weight right before it. So she like weighs in and she's over, but she's really too light to go into your weight class, you know?
Right.
Like she would get annihilated. And then so she like, I remember they told her what to do, and she was sitting on the bike and she was in sweats and she was spitting in a cup on the assault bike like
Yeah.
for an hour, like till she could. And then she weighed, oh, she might have taken a dump, I'm not sure. But then she made weight. And then she went and she finished like best lifter in the competition. And I was so proud of her. She was so happy. And she had done some stuff that she hadn't really done um, before in terms of like an actual competition of that magnitude, individually wise.
Right.
Because we all do team competitions, and it's a heck of a lot less pressure when you do a team competition. It's normally for fun, and not that the individual competitions aren't for fun, but you want to. It's all on you, right? It's
Right.
all on you. And so she probably prepped like she's never prepped before because she actually had a plan leading into it. And so that was probably the first time for her, similar to the half marathon was for me. But it's one of my bright spots because I remember helping her. We didn't get any fights. Normally, when I coach her, we get into fights, but we didn't get into any fights. And I was just really happy for her. So that was that for me.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So my last one is Taylor Newton. Were y'all there that night, or was that the night of?
I was not there. That was
That
Lark.
was y'all had Lark, and
Yeah.
we donated or were a sponsor or something, so
Right.
y'all had to go. I mean, we love Lark anyway, but so I had not been working at Roux long. I'd been a member for a year and working there for about 6 weeks. And mind you, in all of this, I started working almost 2 months to the day before our wedding. So that
Mhm.
was a really weird time to be starting a new job. And suddenly I have to be in control of Friday night lights for the open workout, which now I would be super chill about. But
Right.
then I was totally overwhelmed, super stressed. And I think Taylor was in the last heat. And the workout had squat snatches and I believe pull-ups. And I felt tired. I felt frazzled. It was fun. Like there was great energy, but I was just done. And then Taylor goes, and it was one where it's like, okay, if you complete this in 4 minutes, you
You
get
get
to
more
move on to
minutes.
the next
Right.
thing. And suddenly it was like we all blinked and Taylor had made it to the final round. And when we have a photo of it, but when she when she stood that last snatch up, it was like the gym exploded. She was the only one to finish it. And it like completely turned the entire night around for me.
That's cool. That's really cool.
I mean, it was like cool if I had not been in this like really weird personal space, but then added on top, and it just I was able to let a lot of things go in the moment. But I think I also carried that long term because um, it it just helped me see what someone was capable of.
So my last one, it is individual for me, but it was 2015 and we did this competition in Biloxi, and it was my first individual RX competition. And I was like, it's stupid for me to compete in scaled or intermediate. Like I need to do RX. I can do all the stuff. Let me do it. And I was fully expecting to get smashed. And then we get there, and there's a ton of Roux people that went. Shane went, Kelsey went, Patrick Mouton, like a bunch of people competed individually. And I PR'd my clean that day. I remember that. But the other thing I remember is that they didn't have enough. There was an elite division too, and not
Right.
enough elite people showed up. So they combined RX and elite. And I'm like, what the shit? Like, what is this? And then I like I remember my scores were within like reach of the podium. And I'm like, oh shit, if I do this last one, which was a run and like bar muscle ups and toe to bar and stuff like that. And I'm like, I can do this. And I remember like knowing what guys I needed to beat in order to reach the podium. And I was just following them along and my hands got tore up. Like it looked like I took both of my hands and put them on a cheese grater, where I drove home like this from
Yeah.
Biloxi to my house with the palms of my hands. But I finished and it was incredible. Like I pushed myself to limits that I hadn't pushed myself before. And it was different than the half marathon because now like I was somewhere in terms of fitness. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't at the beginning. Um, and my hands are torn apart and I'm just thinking like, so what? Block out the pain. Like you need to beat these guys. And I remember on the run, my hands are just bleeding, like, because we finished with a run and my hands were just bleeding. And I finished second and it was awesome. And I remember some guy asked me if he needs help. And I think it was Kelsey or Shane or someone came over with hydrogen peroxide. And I was like, just pour it
Oh.
on my hands. And they poured it on my hands. And I was like, ah,
Yeah.
my hands burned the whole way home. It was nuts.
The only time in my life I thought I was legitimately going to pass out was when they were cleaning my hands at Beach Brawl this
Yeah.
past year. Like it is all like the eighth circle of hell.
And then you
when
have
that,
to relive it every time you take a shower.
yeah,
I,
absolutely.
it's not quite as bad than the first time, but God, it sucks for like 48 hours.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm gonna sneak in one quick
Yeah,
thing
put it in.
that because this reminded me of it, but one that's personal for me was like when I did Raging Games this past year, same situation, first RX competition. They combined Elite and RX because they didn't have enough people
Mm-hmm.
in Elite, I think, the year before. So I had one of the girls was 17 or 18, but had just come in second at the CrossFit Games, and a couple had been, I think one or two had been to regionals. Like the elite group was very elite. And in the last workout, I was just tired from the day. I'd put a lot of stress on myself, and it was a chipper. And I had told this guy who'd competed in like the heat before to go full send. And so I was like, all right, I got to buckle up and I got to do it too. So the first thing was a 50-calorie row, and I bumbled getting into the straps. And
So you try to
Omari,
make up time, right?
well, Omari and Laura are like right in eyesight. And I know Omari is timing everything. And suddenly I finished my 50 calories and I realize I'm first. With like a 5-second delay, I've somehow finished
Right.
first. Stayed in that place until the muscle ups at the very end just because I couldn't string 10 together. But that, like, hearing my name in that situation,
It's cool
like,
shit.
I was like, oh, that's me. And after that workout, I was, I finish, I run over to the barricade where they and the rest of my friends and family are. And Laura said, yeah, when you got off the row, I asked Omari, was she supposed to do that? And he said, I don't know. We'll see.
I love it.
So that was a good one.
Yeah, I think it's really cool for both of us where we had moments that were personal and then moments that bright spots for us that were others' moments that we were able to share in. And I'd encourage everyone to kind of do like an inventory of this for themselves. And, if you can't fill up 5, then maybe sign up for something in the future. It should be something that you like and you want to do. If you like lifting, do a lifting competition. It could be Olympic lifting, which, train with Jana or hire a personal coach. We do personal training, as well. Like we have a number of coaches with USA Olympic lifting certifications that could assist you. Do a powerlifting competition. There's a ton of us with experience in powerlifting, Kevin, Sarah, Emily, me. I think Chelsea did a powerlifting comp too, if I can recall.
She did the one that I did.
Yep.
This Emily's second one.
Yeah. So, or, you know, sign up for a race, or do a CrossFit comp if you haven't done a CrossFit comp yet. And the thing about the CrossFit comp is I feel like those who will have the best memories are one where you push yourself. You know, my big thing is I hate seeing people like down themselves and like scale down in a competition when they can do everything in RX, and their excuse is, well, I can't win. What's the point? Well, the point is doing the best you can fucking do in the division that you can do it. Okay. That's what you're measuring yourself against lesser people when you downgrade yourself in a competition. So this is all about creating a bright spot. You might surprise yourself. And it could be like, you might finish last, but you did a workout that you never imagined that you could have done and you finished it.
Yeah.
You know, similar to what one of your bright spots was in that open workout.
Right. And I think that a big thing for me has just been realizing, like, if you can come up with no excuse to not do something that could be fun,
right,
then there's no reason not to do it. I mean, that's how I ended up in the powerlifting competition and doing raging games, because I could do it. I was going to be in town on those days. I was going to have friends around to support me.
Right.
There was no reason to not try something new. And in both cases, I have some really great memories.
Yeah, I know Phil Gilliott, who coaches over at CrossFit NOLA. He was in the CrossFit Games, and then he decided he wanted to try something new, and then he ran an Ironman, I think, the next year. Yeah. But it's like experiencing new things and new challenges and doing that kind of stuff. So I encourage everyone to try to fill out their top 5 fitness bright spots, see where you are on that, and, you know, see if you got some holes you need to plug and fill in. So
sounds good.
Yeah. Awesome, y'all. Sarah, we got anything coming up? Any events?
That's funny.
I am encouraged. I think we're going to open up soon. I think it's going to be less than 30 days, probably closer to 15. So
yeah. And I think it'll just, I kind of foresee us reversing how we went into quarantine.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
In terms of the pivots we made and the class sizes and the schedule, but even that, it's just going to be so good when we do get to see people.
Emily and I talked about that last night, the plan coming out of this, because it is close. It also means that I need to turn Roux from a kid's playhouse to a gym again. So
eventually
pick up all the scooters and the bikes and
shove it into childcare.
Soccer balls. Oh my God. My mom walked into childcare the other day, and then because my dad
and promptly walked out.
Yeah. My dad's been like redoing equipment. So like he took all the barbell racks home and like grinded them down and then repainted them. And he made platforms for the sandbags, and I'm handing him some more tasks to do as well. Although he refuses to get the dead rat out of the ceiling that's in the massage suite.
Well, I'm not doing that either. So.
And I don't want to do it. I asked Emily, I'm like, can I pay someone to come do this? And she's like
no.
She's like, is it really a problem? And I'm like, yes, it stinks in that front room. Well, you sure it's there? I'm like, yes, it's nowhere else.
Oh,
It's dying in that ceiling. But anyway, so he's doing projects and stuff like that. So our goal is to have the gym look a little fresh when we come back up. So now pressure's on. So
it'll be good.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Sarah, it was fun. Make sure you all rate, review, and subscribe to Roux Fitness on iTunes or Spotify. We appreciate it. And check us out on YouTube as well. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't. We're signing off. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.